another episode of 1923 Main Street.
Home of everything to do with Disney travel in style. We are your hosts.
I am Mike Braddock.
And I'm Amelia Braddock. And today we discuss whether or not you should dress up for Halloween at Walt Disney World or Disneyland.
Yes, if you've never gone to Disneyland or Disney World during the Halloween season and you're planning on doing it this year, which I think we say you really should. It's a super fun time. You may be wondering if you should dress up or if you should not dress up. And let's just take this in two parts, quick and early to make it easy. Dressing up, I think, really would apply to the Halloween parties at either Disney World or Disneyland. Not so much the everyday dressing up. Now, of course, anytime at Disney World, you're going to see little princesses, and you're going to see little Star Wars people, and you're going to see little Marvel people. We're not talking about that as much, although you can do that.
I think it's really the big people that we're concerned about.
Yeah, exactly. So I think for the sake of this episode, we're going to say, you know, if you're going in the Halloween season generally on an average day, when it's great, right? Because both resorts go all out with food and drinks and decor and, you know, fun festivities. One of them goes a little bit farther and a little bit better when it comes to the rides themselves, and that's Disneyland Resort.
Yes, they definitely up Halloween a notch, but I almost wonder if the way that people approach Halloween is different at Walt Disney World and Disneyland.
What do you mean by that?
The amount in which people get into it and get into their like Disney costumes.
I don't know. They certainly don't do any ride overlays really at Disney World the way they do at Disneyland.
Which is a crime, by the way.
Yeah. So, you know, if you're wondering if it's different to go to Disneyland, I mean, we were just back from there for Halloween festivities and, you know, it's super cool. Not just the Haunted Mansion, but the way they did Mission Breakout, you know, their Tower of Terror, the way they did that with a Halloween overlay and so on and so forth. And even Cars Land is really done nicely for Halloween. So it's pretty cool the way they do that. But all of that aside, let's talk about, if you're wondering, do you need to dress up for the parties? Will you feel out of place if you're not dressed up? And if you do want to dress up, I mean, how far do you dress up?
Well, I think it's interesting that your question is, will you feel out of place if you're not dressed up versus will you feel out of place if you are dressed up? Because that's usually the question that I would see people going about asking.
So what you're saying is I'm projecting my own. So let's cut right to the chase here. I don't dress up. One time I've done a little bit, but I don't. So I guess I was projecting myself and to others who are like me saying, will you feel out of place if you don't dress up?
No, I just think it's a testament to how like involved the Halloween parties are, more so at Disney World, and how involved the people are that attend them, that's the question you're asking. I just think it was an interesting thing to know.
So I think we can answer that right off the bat. So just so you know, we've been to at least 10 of these parties for the last 10, 15 years or whatever it is. So we go quite a lot. So it's not just from one. We've just seen them pre-COVID, post-COVID, the whole deal. Even during COVID, they did a fake Halloween party. But anyway, you will not feel out of place in either scenario. Is that fair to say? If you're dressed up or if you're not?
Yeah, I think there's a good balance between the two. There's definitely a fair bit of people that dress up, which is why I thought it was interesting the way you noted that question, because I can say off the bat, you definitely will not feel out of place if you're dressed up, which is great because there's not a lot of places typically for adults to dress up and hang out with their kids on Halloween.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I put this into two categories of dressing up, actually. So I don't dress up, and I don't dress up because I just like to be sort of unencumbered.
That's not true.
Right? Well, I've dressed up a little bit, so that's my category too.
No, that's not true. You go as Disney Parks dad every year.
I go as daily Disney Parks guest. So let's put this into three categories. There's the people who, I mean, they really dress up.
I've seen floor-length gowns and
you can tell they
props.
spend hours at least, if not making the costume, even prepping for that day.
Or bought them on Etsy. Either way, time or money has gone into this.
Exactly. So those people stand out. So if you are one of those people, by all means do it. This is the place to do it, like Amelia just said. I mean, you're not going to be judged. Now, I'm going to caveat this whole discussion by saying, and I'll link back to past episodes if you're looking online, there are dress codes, but common sense, should get around those. This is the one time of year they do let adults dress up during the Halloween party, so bear the dress codes in mind.
Well, I've seen some pretty, I would say, niche and creative costumes. Like, I've seen the Haunted Mansion, like the portraits from the stretchy room. People, as you know, the lady with the umbrella. There was a group of women a couple of years ago that I saw.
I remember that.
Those costumes were phenomenal.
They went all out.
They were so well done. I really wanted one.
Yeah, I forgot about those people. I've also seen Constance, the bride from the Haunted Mansion. There's so many great costumes just from there alone. So if you want to dress up, by all means, dress up. You'll love it. The pros of dressing up, listen, cast members are going to notice you. Other guests are going to notice you.
You may get more candy trick-or-treating.
You may get more candy.
Can't make any promises.
You're going to get some great photos. If you're in a Haunted Mansion one, you can hang out there. They put all sorts of extra ambiance smoke around the Haunted Mansion at night, so it looks great for the Halloween party. Mm-hmm. But those kinds of costumes come with a downfall as well.
I think it gets better the closer you are to Halloween.
I'm not just talking about the weather. I'm talking about rides.
Yeah.
So if you are one who loves to go on Tron or Space Mountain or any rides that are fast and require you to squeeze into a certain type of car, you might have to have a trade-off. Because
I think Tron's really the only one.
Even Space Mountain, depending on what you're wearing.
I think Space Mountain, as long as you don't have like a hoop under your skirt.
I'm just thinking of those Haunted Mansion people.
Inflatable.
Or hoops under your skirts.
Or like big pants. I don't think you would.
Or bear that in mind that you might have to take part of it off or someone hold it. All I'm getting at is the more elaborate your costume, the more it may obstruct you from doing things like rides. That's all. So, but if you don't care about that, then that's fine.
Tron is the only one that I can think of that would be a serious issue. But if you had like a tearaway skirt, or even if you just had shorts underneath and you kind of hiked up the skirt, I think you could get around it.
So that's, so that is category A, full board costume. But cast members love it. People love it. It makes great photos. Sometimes people want to take photos with you.
I also personally don't recommend going on Tron during the Halloween party. What a waste of your time.
You mean from the lineup perspective?
That line, I mean, I know they're changing it and moving it away from virtual queue, but at least when it is in its virtual queue era, you end up spending over an hour in that line anyways. The Halloween party doesn't last that long. You paid, $100 and whatever dollars to be there. Don't go and sit in the line for Tron the whole time. You can do that any other day. Get your free candy. Get your photos.
And that sort of leads to how you dress up really comes down to why you want to dress up. If you want to be fully immersive and, really look great and feel good and get noticed and take great pictures, go all out. Those are the only things I can think that may work against you. Second category, which I would say is by far the most popular category, is striking a balance between dressing up but not going over the top in terms of costume. And that includes Disney bounding or simple costumes, almost sort of like what you said. Like last year, I saw a couple as The Incredibles with their family. Those are sort of tight. They bought them somewhere. That doesn't really unencumber you, but you're dressed up, right? You don't have to put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah.
But it looks cool. It's Disney related too. And by the way, not all costumes are Disney related, but I'd say 90% are.
Yeah, I would say a good. I mean, the thing
You'll
is,
see the odd Harry Potter in there and
I
things
think,
like that.
Like even outside of Disney parks, at least with kids and families, obviously as you get older, it gets different. But specifically with kids and families, I would say a solid 50% are Disney anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you enter a Disney park and we'll jump up to 90, yeah.
But I'm just saying, Harry Potter is probably the best example.
Harry Potter's a very popular costume.
And if you're wondering, as you might be, if you've never been before, are you going to be chastised for wearing your Hogwarts apparel? No, of course not.
Normally I roll my eyes at people in Disney parks with Harry Potter and Universal merch. I'm going to be honest. However, if you have invested in a Harry Potter costume, especially one of those, expensive Universal ones, I say wear it.
Yeah, you won't be alone. We see them every single year. So, that's definitely a thing to do. This is the most popular category. I'd say 75% of all people.
I think this is still like a considerable effort. For example, one year I wore my grad dress and like had a Cinderella hairdo and gloves, and it was like Cinderella, but I would still say that was in this category because it wasn't a floor length gown and it wasn't.
It's pushing it. So was your angel wings, your most recent one.
No, see, I would say that's this category.
Because you had wings and stuff, and those had to come off for rides.
Yeah, but I still went on Tron. I just shoved the tutu and the wings and the little...
So,
I lied. We have gone on Tron during the Halloween party. Do not recommend.
But we thought about those things, at least I did when you were doing that costume.
I didn't.
Purposefully got smaller wings, right? Things like that. But that looked more like a fairy anyway.
This is why I have you.
And then the third category is my category, not dressing up at all.
No, that's not true. I think there's 4 categories.
Okay, what's the fourth?
The third category is wearing themed, almost Disney bounding. Like if you have a C-3PO t-shirt on.
Yeah, but I do that.
I think that's an effort.
Although not always.
Because there's the people that will just show up in nothing.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Yeah.
Well, not nothing.
But I think...
I wear a button-up shirt and shorts.
I think those are different categories. There's a third category that's like maybe you're wearing some Disney Halloween merch, Halloween colors. You're still participating in the ambiance.
But I don't call those costumes.
No,
right?
but they're...
So you're putting a little themed effort into it.
Yeah.
Or no effort at all.
Because there's people that are putting no effort at all, which is fine. If
that's
you don't,
me. And you know what?
If you don't want to be uncomfortable, that's not an issue. But I'm just saying it's a separate category.
Nobody has ever, given me the business for...
I have.
Other than my personal family. Yeah. So...
Don't worry, folks.
So there you have it. If you're wondering about dressing up, I guess the bottom line is anything goes, right? It's just that if you want to get more elaborate...
I think it's a decision for you.
Think about it. One thing I'll say, and it's probably against the rules, that I've never seen in a Disney Halloween party are, people who cut out a box and there are dice or stuff. You don't see those kinds of sort of shabby homemade costumes, like big pieces of cardboard.
Or even the inflatable, like dinosaurs and stuff.
Yeah, you don't see any of that. I don't recall.
It's also Florida in the late summer, early fall. You might not...
Might get worse. Some costumes.
Yeah, I don't really know if you want to be wearing that. That's why I said the closer you get to Halloween, probably the more like elaborate costumes you can wear, simply because the weather gets marginally colder.
And you know what?
So it's slightly more bearable.
Do this.
And less rainy.
Yeah, less rainy the closer we get to Halloween. Normally, who knows? With weather changes. But I will say, here's my tip for you. Go online and just look at recent videos or pictures and just scan the crowd, right? You're going to get a really good idea of what people are wearing just by looking at people's posts. Forget what the post is, if it's about food or whatever. Pay attention to the crowds in the background and see what people are wearing, and that'll give you the best idea of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, there you have it. So definitely love Halloween Disney style. East Coast, West Coast, they're both good. So have fun and dress up as you feel you want to. Thanks, everyone, for listening. As always, follow along on social media at 1923 Main Street, the website at 1923mainstreet.com. We'll see you again next week, and have a magical day.
Bye-bye.